I'm Jeff Philbin, here to help you to decide what's for dinner with more ideas for your main meal as we serve up delicious dishes and show you how to make them. Today, a fancy fish dish to impress the family, but easy to do. Seared sea bass, which we're serving with a citrus butter caviar sauce, tropical fruit salsa, rice and veggies, and all on the table by the end of the show. Joining me to make this meal is Chef Rene, Marquis, and so excited to have you inside the Dinner DeeAs kitchen, my friend.
Oh, exciting to be here. This is phenomenal. Thank you for the invitation.
Now, since our show's only 30 minutes long, I'm going to try and keep this career highlights brief, but you've done a lot. You're currently the national president of the premier professional chefs organization in North America, the American Culinary Federation.
Yes, sir.
But you're also a 21-year veteran of the U.S. Army, which, thank you very much for your service.
Absolutely.
Master Sergeant?
That's correct.
Right on. And you've been cooking, teaching, and competing in 52 countries around the world in a career which started with washing dishes at a Chinese restaurant up in Maine because, let me get this straight, because it was warm?
Correct. And then before you know it, I picked up a cleaver and I was cutting vegetables, and then a year later, I was working on the woks, and I absolutely love the profession.
The dish that you're making for us today, it's seared sea bass with citrus butter, a caviar sauce. This all sounds so decadent, so complicated. It also sounds a little pricey, though.
It's actually not pricey at all. We're going to do this for under $45 today. Basically, that's the cost of a family of four going through the drive-thru at McDonald's. My day job is I'm a corporate chef for Land O'Lakes, so we do a lot with butter and butter sauces. We're going to show you from start to finish.
And anyone at home can do this?
Correct. So very first thing we're going to do, Jeff, is we're going to make the classical rice pilaf.
Okay.
I went to school at the CIA in Hyde Park, New York. You can see our pan is nice and hot right now. And all we're going to do is we're going to add our butter to the pan. And what we're going to do now is, I've already have the mirepoix, which is onion, celery, and carrot. We're going to add those to the pot in no specific order. Again, this is stuff that you can cut in advance and do it ahead of time. And I'm just adding the carrots, onion, and celery. What we want to do as this butter is melting, we want to sweat these vegetables. And when we sweat them, we can turn this up a little bit, please. When we sweat these vegetables, so sweetness is gonna come out of the carrots, onions, and celery, but also we're adding a lot of nutritional value to this. We're just gonna add our rice. You know, you've had some great cooking experiences and you work some great places as well. For me, comfort meal.
For Chef Rene's recipe for this very special seared sea bass with all the sides and ingredients, the amounts and the directions, no need to write it all down. Just grab the recipe at dinnerdeeas.com, and even easier for you, you don't even have to type the address, because if you have your phone, open up the camera app as if you're taking a photo. Then point it right there at the TV, and that's our QR code. A link to us will pop up through your camera app. All right.
So the rice is starting to get a little bit of color on it. We don't want a lot of color on it, but we don't toast that rice.
And what type of rice was this?
Long grain rice.
Just a long grain rice.
Inexpensive, readily available. One thing you can't do is you can't use a rice that's been par cooked, because it will definitely change the recipe. So this is just a straight long grain rice. And honestly, we're at the point now where we can put our stock in, and we're going to put a lid on this. We're going to set it and forget it.
All right. Now, with the stock, though, what are we working with? A chicken stock, vegetable stock? What do we got?
It is a chicken stock. Okay. You can use a broth. You can use a bouillon. You can use anything that you have. And we are going to put a lid on it.
Okay.
And it'll be here when we're ready for it.
Perfect. So then what's next?
Tropical fruit salsa.
Okay.
So very simply, you can see that I diced the mango. I diced the pineapple. And again, these are foods ready to eat. It's already diced tomato. If you had tomatillo and you wanted to use that, you could use that.
Nice.
Diced red onion. If you don't have red onion, you can use white onion. But I use the red onion for the sweetness and the color. And then some red bell pepper. Again, stoplight peppers. You could use green, you could use yellow, you could use red, you could use orange. And then I'm only going to add half of this jalapeno because this was a very spicy jalapeno. I could smell it when I was cutting it.
Okay. And I see that you also kept the seeds out, because that's really also what's going to give it even more of that heat, more of that bite with the Scoville's there. So
that is correct. So the next thing I want to do, honestly, I always like to season things at first. Then I can taste them and season them more as they need to be.
Now, what did you just season it with?
That is a salt and white pepper mixture that There's actually salt, white pepper, and black pepper in there, and that is a standard ingredient that is by my stovetop and by my workstation no matter where I am. And then the cool part about this salsa, it can be made in a day in advance or could be made the night before, but you're just gonna take and get this fresh juice into the salsa, and that's gonna make these flavors really pop.
Nice.
So I've got one for the lemon, I've got one for the lime, and then we're gonna give it a stir and you can taste it. And then if we need to add some more jalapeno, we can. If you wanna, and say you don't have some of these ingredients, it's okay if you don't have red pepper and you got green pepper instead. And again, this is an accompaniment for fish.
Yeah.
Could be any type of fish. This could also be an accompaniment for chicken. Could be any type of protein that you want. How about this? You let me know how we did here. Tell me if it needs more seasoning, if it needs salt and pepper, or if this is something that you can consider a finished product.
It just needs a tortilla chip for me.
So great, there's our salsa, it's ready to go.
I love it. And then, what are we gonna start here?
So basically this butter sauce, it's a time and tested sauce. What we're gonna do, Jeff, is we're gonna take our white wine, our bay leaf, our shallots, our honey, and our peppercorns, and we're gonna make a reduction.
Okay.
And that reduction is the first part of the sauce. So basically what we do is we make a reduction with those ingredients, and that's a classical reduction for butter sauce.
Okay.
In French, it's a beurre blanc. If you wanted to use red wine, it would be a beurre rouge. And again, this is basically just the mandatory ingredients that have to go in this. A lot of people put the peppercorns, the bay leaf, the shallots, and then the wine, and they make a reduction. So what this reduction is going to be our flavoring agent for our sauce. So that's going to reduce down. It's going to get to the point where it's called au sec.
I love that. And we're gonna take a quick break. When we come back, why you need more caviar in your life and why you don't need a Mega Millions win to do it. Ahead on Dinner DeeAs. Welcome back to Dinner DeeAs. Today, my guest is a military vet who's sharing a fancy feast with us today. Chef Rene Marquis is the national president of the American Culinary Federation and making mealtime simple with a very fancy sounding dish, but it's easy to make. Seared sea bass, which we're serving with a citrus butter caviar sauce, tropical fruit salsa, rice and veggies. Before the break, we started on our rice by sweating down onions, carrots, and celery in butter, then adding in long grain rice, chicken stock, and while that cooked, we made a tropical fruit salsa with pineapple, mango, tomato, red onion, jalapeno, seasoning it with a little bit of lime and lemon juice and a little salt and pepper. Then we also had time to start on this beautiful smelling right now, citrus butter sauce that's been simmering away, a little bit of wine, bay leaves, shallots, peppercorns, and some honey. So
That's it.
all these are wafting in my way, and I'm loving every scent that I'm getting. So what's next that we need to do with this?
So this is a base of the butter sauce, and this is going to be our flavoring agent. So what we're going to do, Jeff, is because it's at a point right now, almost another 30 seconds.
How do you know, and what are you looking for to know, like, you got 30 seconds?
Because there's a classical term called au sec. It means just to have a little bit of stain, a little bit of the liquid reserved. So what you're getting is a amplified, reduced, strong version of this. We're going to take this and we're going to take our reduction. Basically, you're going to take out all the things that you wouldn't want in your sauce. So we're taking out the bay leaves, the peppercorns, and the shallots, and we're just going to reserve it here. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to, while this pot is getting hot, we're going to add our cream to this. And you're going to see that this cream is going to start to change the color, and we want, because the cream is cold, we want to heat it up. And when we do that, we're going to be able to see that beautiful champagne-looking effect that it's going to have.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to take that other half of the lime that we had, and we're going to squeeze some fresh lime juice right into there. And then we're going to do the same thing with the rest of our lemon. And the best part about this is it's using all of the fruit that we started to make that tropical fruit salsa. I believe if you use all your ingredients, you won't have a whole lot of ingredients left over. So you're going to see now this is actually starting to heat up. And again, we're going to let this reduce for a little bit. Meanwhile, you can see I've got another pot on here, and this is just to blanch our green beans. What we're doing is we're going to bring that hot water out, and it's going to bring the chlorophyll in the green beans out. It's going to make them nice and green. So I'm just going to put those in there like so.
Love it. For Chef Rene's recipes, for everything he's sharing with us today, with all the ingredients and directions, easy to read and ready to print, just grab it over at dinnerdeeas.com. Scan that QR code to find your way there. All right.
So while the green beans are cooking, I actually brought out a bowl of frozen water. I put the bowl in there. The bowl is chilled. You can see that it's got an ice crust on the top of it. What we want to do in this blanching process is not only do we want to blanch the green beans to make them a little more tender and bring up that great chlorophyll, we also want to stop them from cooking.
Yeah.
So stopping them from cooking will happen by us straining the hot water out and then putting the beans in the cold water.
Love it. When we come back, the green bean torture continues as we cook them up one more time with carrots and show you how to cook the perfect piece of sea bass. Ahead on Dinner DeeAs. Welcome back to Dinner DeeAs. We're cooking a meal worthy of not just dinner, maybe even a dinner party. But it's so easy to make, and it's all from Chef Rene Marquis. You are the national president of the American Culinary Federation, sharing knowledge here with all of us because you're showing us how to make a seared sea bass that's served with a citrus butter caviar sauce, tropical fruit salsa, rice and veggies. And if you just tuned in, this maybe has taken only about, I don't know, what, 20 minutes so far?
Not even.
Not even. And we're nearly done. Before the break, we finished up our citrus butter sauce, straining it and adding lemon and lime juice, then adding cream. We then started on our green beans, which we were blanching by first cooking them in boiling water, but they're not done just yet.
Correct. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this, literally I've got some ice water. I'm going to drain the hot water from the green beans. I'm going to shock them in the cold water, then I'm going to bring them back.
Perfect.
This is going to stop the cooking process.
Very cool.
And then we're just going to drain all the liquid out. It stops them from cooking, keeps the nutritional value high on the green beans, and then they're ready to go. So if you don't mind, Jeff, if I could get you to season the fish, season liberally with salt and pepper there on both sides.
On both sides here?
Yeah. We're going to multitask now. This is the last time we're getting ready to put all this orchestration together and have a great finished dish. So the pan is at smoking point, which is exactly where it needs to be, where I want it to be. It's got a little, we're sauteing. So saute means high heat, low fat. We're going to put the flesh side down first.
Now, why the flesh side down first? Because you hear like, hey, I want to have the beautiful presentation happen, but you're saying no.
No, so it's the other way around. We're going to serve it with our skin side up. So we want that skin to be crispy. So what we're going to do is we're going to cook the fish half on one side, and we'll flip it one time. I got a beautiful fish spatula there. We can just kind of roll the fish over. It'll have some great caramelization on the outside of the fish, and then we're going to get that skin crispy.
Beautiful.
When we get that skin crispy, it's half the battle. So our butter sauce, we've got our whole butter, and the sauce has been reduced. It's still hot. Right now, we're going to turn this dreamy sauce into a creamy sauce.
Dreamy sauce to a creamy sauce. I like that.
So one thing that a lot of people don't understand is we've got to do the work. Here right now, we're doing the work. We're making a classical sauce. We've got the butter in it. This is done. I can just forget it.
Okay.
This pan is ready for our carrots, and we just want to saute our carrots. We've got a big pan. These have been julienned, and the reason why it's important that they're all cut the same size is they're all going to cook evenly at the same time. Plus, this looks like a whole lot of carrots, but it's not. It's about the presentation of those. And then we can add, when those are almost done, we can add some of our green beans, and that'll be ready to plate.
Okay.
But I want to put a little attention right now on the fish. You can see that it's not sticking because it's a non-stick pan. And then you can see it's got some beautiful color on it. It's been in there about a minute. We're going to wait another 30 seconds or so, and we're going to turn it. But you can see these carrots are sauteing nicely. If you don't mind seasoning the green beans with a little salt and pepper, that would be great.
To get this meal on your table tonight, just grab the recipe over at dinnerdeeas.com. Scan our QR code to get there from your phone right now.
So you can see we've got that sea bass, and you can see when it starts to cook, it starts to flake like that.
Yep.
And again, people think when you put a burger on the grill, you got to keep flipping it, keep flipping. You don't have to do that.
Just let it be.
Just let it be. Let the pan do the work, and you can see the seasoning on it.
Yep.
That's the great part of this. So those carrots are about done. We can add some green beans to it.
Okay.
And basically, I'm using another nonstick pan. That way, I don't have to use a lot of fat. If you want to keep your food healthy and you want to keep plate's nutritious, you don't need a whole lot of fat. We can actually shut that one off, or we can actually move this to this side.
Okay.
And that way our center of the plate and our star right now is the fish. These carrots and green beans go great together. But the other thing that I want to show you is when I'm using a pair of tongs, I can actually stack them up. So I've got a portion of vegetables that are together. I don't like it when people play with food and they tie green beans up together. You don't really need to do that. If you just spend a little time, you can get a nice portion of vegetables just like that. Our fish is almost done. We can just see, take a look at our fish. I've got gloves on. I always use gloves when it's time to plate. You will see that this fish here is going to be flaky. And again, it's going to fit the texture of the rice, the texture of the fish, the crispy vegetables, and our beautiful salsa. Now would be a good time, while we're waiting for that fish, I'm going to add a little bit of caviar.
See, most people would think caviar is like got to be only for the rich, and it's got to be $100 for that tiny jar, but...
Actually, this caviar is affordable. Matter of fact, this caviar is in the aisle in the canned fish and seafood at Publix. Right up on the top shelf. These jars are only $10. And you can see I've only used a small amount of this caviar. But look what it's going to do to this sauce. Now you've got beautiful red and black specks in here.
Oh, yeah.
And when we put that on the plate, people will be like, man, that's amazing. So, true to form, we're going to step back here. I've got our plate in the oven. I think it's very important that people understand hot food needs to go on a hot plate.
Okay.
And then if you would pass me the rice, we'll start plating this one up.
I will.
I'll set it right on the stove there.
You got it there. Okay.
And we're basically, I've got a spoon. Everything's going to be done right here in front of the guests so they can all see. It's kind of like if you're sitting at a chef's table. You can slide that fish off that plate, off the burner, because that's definitely done. You see how it's starting to split there? You can see that we only touched it once. Yeah, it's great. Fantastic. Perfect. And then we're going to take this vegetables, that one portion I talked about. We're going to get a little height from our vegetables, just like so.
Absolutely.
Then we're going to use our spatula. We're going to go there. We're going to get that beautiful piece of fish.
Oh, yeah. Look at that.
We're going to set that fish right on top like so. This one can come off if you don't mind. Put it on that plate.
I gotcha.
And very, very simple here. The plating of this, we're going to take some of this salsa and we're going to put it right on the top where the vegetables meet the fish. And then we're going to take some of our beautiful caviar beurre blanc. And I'm going to show you that we can make this plate look really good. A lot of people would go ahead and put this on the fish. Well, if you put a wet sauce on top of a crispy skinned fish,
it's gone. Soggy at that point.
It's soggy at that point.
And that makes sense for why you did it the way that you did it, because you want to be able to have that presentation be of that crispy skin.
Correct. Let's try this sauce. I mean, I want you to try this sauce without the fish, just with the caviar in it, and you can see.
Oh, yeah, we having a dinner party tonight, my friend.
So
we having, don't leave me hanging on that part.
Sorry about that.
That is out of this world fantastic. But more than that, when we come back, it's time to taste even more of this dish and see how all this not so hard work actually comes out. Ahead on Dinner DeeAs. Welcome back to Dinner DeeAs. If you just joined us, you might think we've been cooking this all day, or we just grabbed it from a restaurant. No, not either of those options. We made it right now, or rather, my guest did. Chef Rene Marquis, cook, teacher, veteran, and national president of the American Culinary Federation. He's been sharing how to make this magnificent meal of seared sea bass with citrus butter caviar sauce, tropical fruit salsa, rice pilaf, and carrots with green beans. Quicker and cheaper than getting takeout.
Yes, sir. We did the mise en place. That's the hard part. And from start to finish, if I was just to execute this, we'd actually cook everything and we'd be waiting for the rice to finish. But the rice, we started first, so it finished and it was very successful. You can see the colors are popping. You can see, again, to go to a restaurant and get this, it would cost you $35, $39 for this entree. And I don't know, let's see. I see the skin is nice and crispy on the fish.
Oh, yeah, I mean, like, it's just literally.
I also see the fish is nice and flaky, real moist and creamy on the inside. Well, good news and bad news.
Okay.
Good news is, came out perfect. The bad news is, We didn't make enough for everybody. We only made like 5 plates for the crew. But this is just, you know, the whole focus on today was to show classical preparations, things done properly, and to show where that background of the American Culinary Federation standard comes from.
Absolutely, and economical, right? I mean, all of this was what you said, under $44.
$44 with the
$44
with the caviar. So sea bass, you know, it's an expensive piece of fish. You can use like salmon, you can use tilapia, you can use catfish, you can use fish you catch right here in the bay. But again, if you don't have green beans and you want to use carrots, you've got other vegetable alternatives. Today wasn't about making this exact dish. Today was about showing the techniques on how to prepare all of these items. And look, you know, I talked about the skin. The skin is still nice and crispy, even where it's got a little bit of the tropical fruit salsa, which also gives another flavor contrast with the fish.
Absolutely, it's that little burst of just acidity, that sweetness, all of that is just rocking with this entire dish. This is out of this world fantastic.
Thank you. I tell people about rice pilaf all the time, and they think, it's just rice with vegetables. It's not. It's the technique that allows this rice to develop that flavor.
I absolutely love it. Thanks again, not only for his service, but for cooking for all of us today. To Chef Rene Marquis, thank you, my friend, for being here.
You.
Grab his recipe at dinnerdeas.com, scan the QR code down there to find us, and send us a photo if you're making it for your dinner. I'm Jeff Bilbin. Thanks for watching, and see you next time with more Dinner Deas.
It's delicious.
It really is, absolutely.